Welcome to the Own It Powercast, the place to be when you get serious about making big changes and accelerating growth in your life and in your relationships. Finally create the life you've always wanted, living life on your own terms. Learn how to take your fear and turn it into powerful choices that will create sustained change. Now your host, Mary Baker.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own It Powercast, a place where you can come to get what you need to move yourself forward. Hey, it's Mary Baker, and welcome to episode 96, Envisioning Better for Yourself. Well, if you've been listening all month, you know we've been talking about how your thinking and your perceptions create your reality, and how important it is to take a look at what you see as either possible or impossible for your life, because we will fulfill that prophecy either way. And since we're all about taking ownership of creating the life you want on this podcast, today I thought it'd be good to revisit the concept of visualization, envisioning the life you want, even if it feels like you are nowhere near that life yet. Always put the word yet on the end, remember? Keep it possible. But before we get to that, I just want to stop and thank all you wonderful people out there who are crushing it in the work. You are doing the work and you're spreading the word, and the podcast is heard all over the place now. And so I just want to say thank you. And thank you for your wonderful reviews. For those of you who haven't left one, please leave a positive review. We all know how hard it is to find a good podcast to listen to, and we read the reviews because we want to know, is this the right podcast for me? So if you hadn't had a chance, go to your favorite platform and leave a review. Speaking of, I just came across a new discovery place last week called podnods.com, where it'll find and curate podcasts for you according to your individual taste. And I think that's so cool because there's so many great podcasts out there, but it takes time and it can be quite a challenge to find the ones that fit for you right now and that you want to listen to. So check out podnods.com. It's pretty cool. All right. So why does envisioning matter? And why do I think it is powerful enough to mention it in more than one episode on this podcast, right? Because I believe it works. There's also research that backs this up, which is pretty groovy, but I believe it works. And I think it matters because when you envision, it helps you get clear, like really clear about what you really want. No more vague, well, maybe I'll someday kind of stuff. No, it forces you in a good way to get really clear about what you really want and perhaps what you don't want. I also think it helps you get specific. And we've talked before how when we get specific, it makes it really real, and therefore it can feel really vulnerable to nail it down, because that means commitment. But it also means we have a more focused intention and commitment. I think envisioning what you want for your life gives you inspiration and hope. It keeps you motivated when you feel stuck. And we know this when we can remember why we want to do something and where we want to get to so badly. When we're feeling stuck, when it's not going as quickly as we would like, it really helps to look at that vision board, right? And remember and get motivated again because you want that. I also think envisioning the life that you want actually gives you a stronger identity, because when we clarify, like we just said, and get very specific about who we want to be and how we want to be, that's identity, guys. That's our self-concept. And that is born out of all the work you've done so far. You don't get here by not doing the work. You just can't. And finally, I think envisioning helps you take responsibility for your life because it makes you own your choices. Otherwise, you will allow life to just act upon you. You know, maybe unconsciously putting everyone else first, maybe feeling like because of everyone else I can't, because of the situation I can't. The other thing it can keep you from is analysis paralysis, from too much questioning, too much analysis. You know, we're in a place of anxiety, we're ruminating, we're working it to death in our head, and we're killing the dream. You're not going to pull any triggers if you're so afraid of risk. It's great to be prepared. It's great to take calculated risks like we've talked about. But too much analysis can keep us stuck. So when we envision, we commit. That's what I want. And this is why I want it. And finally, owning your choices means you can't kick the can anymore, thinking, oh, there'll always be time for that. How do you know? And time flies. As you get older and you have kids, time flies. It goes a lot faster than it did when we were kids, or it feels like it. So what is envisioning exactly? I think envisioning lets you see in your mind what needs to change in your life in order to get you where you want to go, where you want to be. I think it helps you feel the sensation of reaching your goal even before you get there. Envisioning your goal actually releases endorphins, is what I was reading, which is cool. And those are the chemicals in your brain that make you feel good. That's how real this can feel. Again, the research backs this up. They've done plenty of studies on this where people visualize stuff and their body starts reacting as if it were really happening. There's an article in Scientific American that said, in theory, we can create as many future versions of ourselves as we like, limited only by our imagination. But the more fanciful, whimsical, or wishful versions of ourselves, they're useful for brainstorming, may be unhelpful if we lack personal intelligence to identify which selves are plausible. To be reasonable, our imagined selves ought to join together our personality of today with our likely circumstances over time and the person we can realistically hope to grow into. And I excerpted that because I thought it was important to clarify where I'm coming from. I'm not talking about fantasy. Talking about there are very good reasons why you have this vision for your life. There are some realistic pieces in there, or you would not be envisioning it. So what if you can't visualize? I run into this sometimes with clients, and they're like, I don't know what I want. Well, we have to start somewhere. So if you're not sure what your vision would look like, I want you to sit here right now and start with what you don't want and why. What is the positive opposite of that? In other words, I don't want to feel stuck. I want to feel like I have choices and freedom. I don't want to end up with a lot of regrets. The opposite of that is I want to start looking at taking some risks now to go after some dreams I've been afraid to go after. So just find the positive opposite if you're not sure. If you're not ready to envision today, it's all good. Start where you are. I think it's a painting that we come back to and we add something or we take something away or we tweak or we change it. That's totally fine. Don't stress about that. But think about what you want for your life and why. We can look at different aspects. How we want to feel, where we want to be, who we want to be with, what do we want to be doing? What do we want to have accomplished or be accomplishing? What do we want to tackle, create, discover? I think that's enough to get you started. All right, but before we get there, I want to do something. I want you to do something first that may or may not have a profound impact on you emotionally. It all depends on where you are. And sometimes we don't even know that in the moment. But if we don't have a conversation with past you first, there's a chance that your former self, as crazy as that sounds, may try to sabotage your present or future efforts, where you want to go, this great vision. Not consciously. Of course not. But subconsciously, we could have some stuff going on in there that we're not even aware of. Old beliefs, old feelings, old fears, old regrets, old resentments, old shame, old guilt. That can make it seem like, I can't have that great future that I want because. Okay, what I want you to do is, even if you're in a space where you can't close your eyes, it's okay, you can still envision this. But I want you to envision that you are sitting across from your former self and just go with whatever image comes to mind, however old they are, where they are in life, it doesn't matter. Go back a couple years at least. Wherever you see the difference between your former self and your present self. So whatever that is for you. And I want you to picture them sitting there and they're listening intently to what you have to say. And this is what you're going to say to them. You say, I am so sorry. I'm sorry that I, and finish that sentence, that they, that we, that it. I'm sorry it went that way. God, if I'd done this work sooner, I may have made changes sooner, and I really regret that. But I'm not mad at you either, though. You did the best you could with what you had at the time. And I think it's time for both of us to release all of that, don't you think? I'm so ready to let go of all the misery, all the anxiety. The internal fight we always had, remember? Because we knew we wanted better all along, we just didn't know that we weren't okay. We didn't know what was really going on, so we didn't know what to change. But now I do. I am already changing, and I really want to make a different life for myself. One where I'm proud of who I am, happy using my gifts, being in the moment with a stronger sense of confidence and purpose. So thank you. Thank you for all you went through. I know some of it was hell. All you tried to change. For being so courageous, because you know what? If you weren't, I certainly wouldn't be sitting here now ready to do some really big things. Thank them for sitting with you. Reach across and give them a big hug. And let them go on their way. Okay, take a deep breath. I want you to try to acknowledge but then release any emotions that may have come up during this exercise. For some of you, there may be some strong emotions, and I encourage you, if it feels too big for you, then seek out some support around that. If you haven't done a lot of old grief work, this was the first time, I encourage you to go do that, and you shouldn't do that alone. Maybe there was some relief for you, maybe some tears came up. It's okay, it's all good. Anything that came up was supposed to come up. All right, you ready? Let's talk about the future you. Okay, so I want you to picture in your mind the future you. All right, and here's how we're going to do this. I want you to pretend you're walking into a movie theater right now that's empty, just you there. And you're going to sit down and you're going to look up at the screen and you see your future in color with clear, distinct details. You can see everything. Describe the movie to yourself. Where are you? What are you doing? What are you wearing? Who else is there with you? Take a moment and feel how it feels in that movie. What do you see? Do you see happiness, contentment, excitement, joy, adventure, peace? What is it? Maybe it's all the above. Notice what you had to change to get there and be there. And how relieved you feel to have done all this work, because here's the payoff. Now, don't let any anxiety or any negativity come into the scene, okay? Just feel the good about actually finally honoring yourself by achieving your dreams and living the life you've been promising yourself all along. It's there, it's real, it's in color. Soak it in. Breathe it in, absorbing it so completely so that you can continue working on making that happen. All right, now step out of the movie, look back at the screen, seeing your new life humming along just fine. Everything's great. And you walk out of the theater. Okay. Wow, what was that like? What'd you see? How'd that feel? So now that you've actually stepped into your new fabulous life for a moment, how are you feeling now? Excited? Maybe a little impatient to get there? Good. We want to enjoy the journey now, of course, because that makes getting there all the more fabulous. But I also want you looking forward to the future. We're not putting our life on hold. We're just continuing to grow towards. Envisioning can help us make that happen. We get really solid about who we are, what we want, and where we want to go. You envision it because you're training your brain to imagine, hell yeah, this is going to happen. This or a version of this. Like we talked last week, it's okay to have some detours, as long as you don't give in or sell out or settle for less than what you really need. Envisioning helps you make it real in your mind. The other big reason we want to do this is to desensitize ourselves mainly to any anxiety about what it's going to be like to actually have the life we want. As much as we say we want that, it can feel scary as hell to actually have it. And so what you want to do, and athletes and performers and successful people do this all the time, you already do the play-by-play in your head, as if you're already there. So when you're there, it doesn't feel freaky. So when you're there, you don't freak out and sabotage and blow it up. You can embrace it. It feels like, okay, I've been here before already almost. This is where I belong. This feels right. So keep envisioning. Do a vision board if you need to. Do creative visualizations in your head. But it is a powerful tool to keep you motivated, help you to get really clear about what you want, and get you excited and proud of yourself for getting this far. Okay, so today we talked about how powerful envisioning can be in helping you move forward to the future that you want. Then we explored how part of you knew all along what you wanted, knows you can have it, while the other part's probably fighting and afraid and stuck in the past. But I think if you practice these visualizations often, I think you're going to find yourself more motivated and more able to take actual steps to get there in real life. Okay. Thank you for joining me today. May you stay healthy, hopeful, grounded. Keep looking towards that vision that you want. Keep becoming that vision that you want. Be kind to people this week and be kind to yourself. Be sure to check the show notes at ownitpowercast.com. If you don't already get the newsletter, you can get it right there. You get the bonus downloads for the episodes that have them and any other great info that we have. All right, so pay it forward. Keep focusing on you, and I'll see you next time.
We hope you took away some useful insights and tools you could begin using right away. If you did, please leave a positive review and share on your social media. Because could you imagine if everyone in your life really got it together? Remember, own it now, so you can really own it later.